All right, so checking spokes on a dirt bike manually without a spoke torque wrench isn't really that hard. It definitely helps if you can hear the difference in pitches, or in other words, like frequency notes. If you're completely tone deaf, musically inept, you're probably not going to have much luck with this process and technique. But if you can hear the difference between like low and high notes and tell if two things are relatively close in pitch, this is a great way to just kind of check and make sure the spokes are equal and balanced on a dirt bike without any extra special expensive tools. So what you do is you get yourself just a cheaper kind of version of a spoke wrench, like a Motion Pro. This is just a 7mm spoke wrench. It's got kind of angled heads on it, one side that kind of locks in. It makes it a little easier. And basically what you're going to do is go around the wheel, starting at a common point like the valve stem or bead lock, and then just kind of rotate the wheel and check each spoke by lightly tapping on them. So I like to tap kind of in the middle of the spoke, so you know, not at the end, not at that end, kind of in the middle. And then I like to pull the adjacent spoke away from it so it's not touching it, because that'll kind of damp out the sound and you don't want to hear that. You want to hear it ring and hear the tone. So here we go, we're going to start on this one. So I hear that tone, and then I'm going to go to the next one. I'm just going to push this spoke away now. See how they're the same tone? Very close. And that's all you're looking for. I'm going to go to the next ones and I'm trying to remember that tone. Pretty close. There we go, there's a high one. So that was higher in pitch than the other three. So I started on these two, 1, 2, 3, and then I got to this one and it was higher. And I'll just check again with the one next to it. I'm going to loosen this one up. And then to loosen, you're kind of need to think about this is the nipple. You got to kind of think about the nipple from perspective of looking down from the rim. So not this way, like this way would be tightening from this perspective. Oh man, this is just going to be confusing. So if you imagine the tire was out, you were looking straight in the bottom of the rim, you would see that to turn this loose, you have to go this way. So it's kind of almost like backwards from what you're used to. Let's make sure we're on the right one. So I'm going to go this way to loosen. Loosening will lower the pitch, right? Tightening will raise the pitch. Still a little high. And this doesn't have to be a perfect process. This is just a rough kind of process. So now those two are close. I'll move on to the next two. High again. Just a slight loosen. Good. Now that one's low, so I'm gonna go the other way, raise it. You don't want to go too much each time. This, you know, you can actually snap a spoke if you go too much, and that's obviously not good. Turn a quick 5-minute job into a couple hours and have to go buy a replacement spoke. There's a real low one. Boom, 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 boom. Like I said, it helps to be a little bit musical. There we go. All the way back at the beginning on this side now. And then so I would just flip the wheel the other way. and work on this side now. And I like to switch to the back side of the wheel just because of the direction of my hands and everything. And so I'm gonna flip around to the valve stem and then start at the same spot and just go around the wheel. I'm starting here at the valve stem. That one's a little high, so I'm gonna back this one off. I'm only going like 1/8 of a turn, maybe at a time. I went too far on that actually, that's kind of weird. There we go. I'm slightly high, probably wouldn't normally adjust that one, but I'm going to for the sake of this video. Again, these don't have to be perfect. I think the main thing on this is do not go nuts. Two are both loose. Good to go. That's how it's done. And obviously do the same shit on the rear wheel. Might as well go ahead and do the back while I'm here. So here's the valve stem. Start here. Wow, wow, wow. They're way higher in pitch. Woo! That one is the one that's off. So I'm going to probably go down to this pitch. There's another high one. Yep, so we're just going to loosen it up. There we go, I got it already. That one's a little low now. One up on that one. That was a little low. Going up. Oh yeah, you can feel it's loose too. Good to go. That whole side's done already. God, it's like every other one's ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. It's making it tricky to figure out what the starting tone should be. Let's check one of these other ones on the other side. So this one's pretty good. This one's pretty close to the other side. So here's the other side. There's this side. So I'm gonna use that as a starting point now. So that's my tone. So this one's low. This one's going up. Come on. Oh, fuck nugget. Close enough. Low. Low. So this side of the wheel, chain side, is under more forces to warp the wheel because of the chain kind of pulling it from that side. And this side of the wheel, spokes on this side, tend to be looser every time you check them, in my experience anyway. But I'm a badass on the bike. I'm pretty much on the throttle 100% of the time. So that's probably the reason for me. On this side, in the rear, I'm pretty much looking for dead ones, like ones that have just loosened up. Yeah. So this one might have missed it. Yeah, that one's dead. That's it. Here, there's a good example of a dead one. Like it's loose and I must have missed it in the first pass. I don't know. Maybe it's not. No, it does. It seems low. Hitting it funky before. Maybe that one's just freaking high. Obviously, changing spokes on one side by a lot would change spokes on the other side that you haven't touched. So it's kind of like a process where you would really want to go around the wheel multiple times to get it good. But again, this is not perfection by any means. It is definitely a little bit of an art more than it is a science to me. And, you know, I just think that this is something don't freak out too much about, but they will loosen up as you ride. So you just want to make sure they're tight, but not too tight because you could snap them. And then, you know, if you snap one out there riding, it could go through the tire, get lodged in the chain, get lodged in a brake, puncture a tire, puncture a tube. So, you know, there's risks there to having them too tight and screwing this up. You'll see sometimes the guys are, you know, especially racers, will have safety wire or zip ties right here between where the spokes cross on every single one. And I think part of the reason for that is there's a couple things, there's a couple theories out there. Main one I think that's most realistic or feasible is that it stops a broken spoke from going haywire because it'll stay, you know, close to the spoke next to it, and so it won't go freaking out and finding its way into a chain or somewhere else, you know, into the tube. I don't think anybody would be able to tell the difference between a set of wheels with zip ties on the spokes and a set that doesn't have them. But if it makes you feel good and that's how you win races or impress the ladies, then fuck it. Do whatever makes you feel good. Another thing you can do while you're checking spokes down here at the rim level, doing rim jobs, is make sure your B-locks are tight. So you don't need to go fucking nuts on these, just make sure that it has backed itself off or getting weird. And I don't know, some people mark their rims and tires, so you can kind of put a paint pen mark or just kind of remember where the valve stem or bead lock is. And then you can get a rough idea if it's slipping when you're giving her fucking wide open throttle. Love dirt bikes. Coolest shit ever.